Hey everybody, this is your favorite Wild PK. Yes, it's Lady Abdullah, and I have a special guest for tonight. Yes, it's Minister Ashley Avila. You guys, she is one of my heartbeats because she's actually my baby sister. I love you so much. Thank you so much for joining me today. I don't want to dive into all the little secrets and stories that we have with us growing up and things like that, because I don't want to tell all your business. So I'm going to let you be the woman that you are and tell your own story. Ashley, go ahead and introduce yourself to my people.
Absolutely. What's going on, loves? Yes, I'm so excited to be here. And of course, this is not just my sister in Christ, but my blood sister, whom I love dearly. And I'm just so excited to be here. Thank you for having me. I'm here to talk. I'm here to, let's open up. Let's see what's going on. So let's dive in.
Let's dive in. Now, you guys, because we are family, we're going to get real. We're going to answer some real questions. And also, we might have a few cutaways as well because we have a good time. We've already messed up the first one, you guys. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I won't tell you what happened. But we were trying to keep it real. That's all. So, guys, let's get started. Ashley, I'm very proud of you. You are technically a newlywed. And with you being a wild PK, how hard was it to introduce you being in ministry to someone who really wasn't active in the church?
Wow. So yeah, we're definitely diving right in. So basically, when me and my husband met, he was low-key searching. He was kind of in a phase where he knew there was someone there, but he wasn't sure who they were. And so while we were friends, because we were friends first for a little while, and as it progressed to the dating or courting stage, whatever you want to call it nowadays, but or the talking stage,
I know it changes. It keeps changing.
It changes.
Yeah.
So as we progressed, it got to the point where I did want to be very honest with ministry. Church, God is very much a part of my life, and not just to the point where I'm a believer, but also I'm heavily involved in whatever ministry I'm a part of.
Yeah, so different.
Right. You know what I'm saying? Because don't get me wrong, there are already obstacles when potentially you have somebody who is a believer of faith and you're with somebody who isn't because they don't understand, but right. Also pushing further and understanding that commitment to, if you're a part of an organization or anything like that, I think that's another tier to it. So I did my best while we were kind of figuring out what we wanted to do, who we wanted to be together, to just let him know that was, God is he's the number one. Like, everything else is fantastic, but he's number one. And one of the things that I do in reference to my service unto him is that I sing, I play, I dance in his service. And granted, life balance, because sometimes what we do, if we're not careful, can trump who we are, but also understanding that God is a part of me and that I am a part of him and the kingdom and the body of Christ. I needed to be with somebody who not only understood that, but they supported that.
Right.
Because you can be with somebody who is like, okay, well, that's separate. You know what I'm saying? Like, you go do what you do. But if you go sing, I'm not coming. Right. Or if you go to church, I'm not coming. You know what I'm saying? And it's like that person allows their partner to be who they are, but it's not an interactive support, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
But blessingly enough, he gonna get me for telling this.
Uh-oh. I'm ready.
He not gonna get me, but he gonna get me. But we talk about it. But so when we first started dating, I became minister of music at our home church. And we did a ceremony, and we did a foot washing ceremony. And for those that aren't familiar, before Jesus went to the cross, he washed the feet of his disciples.
Right.
So as a means of servanthood, that's something that we used to do at our home church, where the leader would wash the feet of the people that they were leading, because understanding that just because you're in leadership, it doesn't make you in charge. It makes you the first servant.
Ooh.
So was that all right? That was all right?
That was good.
As they say, that was for free. No, because we sometimes, if we're not careful, not just within the body of Christ, but within corporate America or any place that God allows us to occupy, we think that because we have a title that people are just supposed to do what you say do, completely misunderstanding that you have to garner and earn their trust. You have to establish a relationship. Exactly. And you have to earn that relationship. So the first thing that we did was I washed the feet of my singers, my band members, and my dancers, and anybody that was involved. So while we were dating, I invited him to the ceremony. And we were still kind of feeling it out, and I was like, Lord, I don't know if he's gonna come, but I like this dude. But what I wanted him to see was me, and that was a part of me.
Yeah.
And if that part made you uncomfortable,
right,
it wasn't gonna work. Now, for some people, it will. For those who can do it, y'all do it. But chick over here understood that I couldn't, not that you can't do it. Please understand the difference. I could not be with somebody who didn't understand that this is a part of her. Yeah. And to ask me to just be like, well, you just go do that, and then when you come home, you're with me, or that it's not in me to do that. Mm-hmm. And lo and behold, I look like, girl, did he come? Did he come? He came. And the crazy, it's not crazy, but the blessing about it all was that not only did he come, after everything happened, we were outside, and I was like, babe, I'm so excited that you came, and I didn't think you were gonna come, because my other best friend come, shout out to Yana Boo, hey. But it was my other best friend came. And he hugged me and he started to pray over me. And since I knew, look, and they were like, we don't let everybody pray over us because everybody ain't acquainted with the Spirit. You are absolutely right. Be careful. Yeah. But this prayer was a prophetic prayer where he was talking about the steps that I would take, that God would bless them because he could see God's hand on my life. So it's more like, bro, how you know that when you search it? That I'm not gonna lie, that's kind of what cemented I know Jesus, I think this him. I don't know, but I think either one. I mean, I don't know. So just took it one thing at a time, and then lo and behold, when we actually became official and whatnot, and he joined the church, and he literally jumped right in, and he jumped in because the people there embraced him. Like, they hugged him the first day and was like, hey man, I love you. And that was enough to see the love of Christ demonstrated in real time. That changed his perspective on where I want to be and where I want to believe. So
now I will say this, if y'all don't know, I am considered a millennial, and so is my sister. But Ashley met her husband through a dating app, right?
Yes.
Yes. I won't say that it does not work. It does work. And I love my brother-in-law. He is awesome. He is truly,
I love you, baby.
Cheerleader. Yep. He's truly her cheerleader. And if I can share my first story, is when I first met him. It was like the church anniversary. I came home and I was participating, and it was the night they had just performed. It was real late, and I was like, hey, I'm going back to the house with mom and dad. Are you guys coming? And I think you guys already had plans to go do something that night. What won me over was the fact that he said, no, we don't have to do that. I see you all the time. You don't always see your sister. Like, she doesn't live here. Yeah. And nothing against the other people that you've dated, but they be like, oh, are you ready? Like, let's go. I don't want to be here. And I think because he was so receiving of this lifestyle, because it's hard. It is hard. It is a challenging process, especially if you're brand new to it. Because even with Khalif, it was a struggle of, protecting your parents and being mindful of what you say. And people can weaponize some of the things that you said or done against you, because, that's just how life is. We like to say it only happens in the church, but the reality is it happens everywhere. You can have a best friend and they do the same thing to you. Right. When you go to a church, the expectation is, okay, everybody's loving, they're friendly, they're kind. And for him, the experience that he had, especially with him being brand new, he was like, I've never experienced this type of protection before,
Right.
where, it's not even just what happens in this house stays in this house. It's like,
Right.
we need to protect ourselves. We need to, cover ourselves, because we've seen what a rumor can do to a family. We've seen what a rumor can do to a relationship. Just even saying that, oh, well, such and such was kissing with such and such, when we were teenagers. Oh, she's a this kind of person, or he's a this kind of person, and you be like, all I did was kiss somebody. Like, I'm not gonna like nobody. Like,
right.
So the fact that he was willing to dive in and recognizing that moment, he's like, no, you don't spend enough time with your sister, and you love her. No, we'll go hang out at the house, and that's fine. Him being mindful of a different need that you had.
Right.
The unspoken need. It just showed how in tune he was, and how willing he was to embrace not just your family, but your church family as well. Because we spent more time with church family than anything else.
Right. He definitely did. And like I said, he impressed isn't the word, but it kind of is. Yeah. Because I hadn't seen anything like it. And as we progressed, it was more like, okay, yeah, Lord, I think this is it. Like, if it's not, you need to tell me, because I'm about to fall. I'm about to fall. I'm about to fall. Like, so let me, if it's not him, because also one thing that we decided was to date differently. And my husband and I don't mind sharing this, that while we were dating, we chose to be celibate. Yeah. Now, in times past, people got a past. Hallelujah. But praise God for redemption and just learning how to do things better. But one thing that God put in my spirit was that for this man, you're going to have to date him differently. And so all the things that I did with, past relationships and whatnot, he was like, it's not necessarily that it ain't gonna fly, but you're going to have to do it differently if you're going to get the harvest that I have for you. So I do believe that that played a role, and also my husband's receptiveness to who I am. He's been such a cheerleader, support. I did a concert, and he was so cute. He was, because he was buzzing around like a little buzzing bee. Like, he was trying to make sure everything was right. And shout out to everybody who supported the We Believe concert that happened in 2021.
Go check her out on YouTube. Don't play with it. We believe. My sister is a songwriter. Come get these tracks. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Absolutely. But he did. And it just astounds me, because sometimes when you go through relationship after relationship, and I wanna make sure that we don't harp on something's always wrong with them, because sometimes who we date is a reflection of what we believe about ourselves.
Come on. Ooh, that's good.
So when I look at exes or past relationships or past connections, it's like, you can harp on them and what they did and da-da-da-da-da, because some people have faced some truly serious things, but in just the lines of just relationship and understanding that, we're not compatible, we're not supposed to be together. Right. I did learn a lot about myself. So meeting my husband, even though it was through a dating app, and I would let him tell more of that story, because he was pushy. I was not pushy. I was in a place where
you knew what you wanted.
I understood. I knew what I wanted. And I respected you if you didn't want the same thing.
Right.
And I was willing to be like, it's not really here. So let's go ahead. Let's not waste 6 or 7 months. Like, let's not do that when we already know I'm not really feeling it. You're not really feeling it. So let's move forward. But through all of that, and like I said, that story could get deep. It could get long. We don't have enough time. But
you can always do a part 2. Okay. But the thing that you said.
Well, y'all gotta let us know if y'all want. Y'all gotta let us know. We can make that happen.
Yes. Make sure you put the hearts in the comment section. That lets us know you love this pillow talk. But I just think that you said where your time was precious to you. So you're like, let's not go 6-7 months if this isn't what you want. Like, this is me, and I talk to singles about this all the time. We want to be perceived as appealing. Like we're all
Right.
taught to do that. I need to be tempting. I need to be sensual. I need to be sexual. I need to be beautiful. I need to be a chef, a good mom, and all these
Right.
different things that's technically outward works. But the things that make your heart happy, the
Yeah.
things that make you whole, we're not presenting that person forward because
Right.
it's like, what if they don't like it? It is in your best interest to know up front, can you handle this? Now, don't get me wrong,
Right.
there's some pieces of us that we need to grow from and
Of
work
course.
through and develop as well. But like you said, ministry was important to you.
Right.
Being a part, your family, your immediate family is important to you. And if
Right.
those things were going to be an issue or a conflict, you're like, look, bro, this is what I got. I don't want to waste your time. You ain't
Exactly.
got mine. Tell me what you want to do. And being forward ended up getting you what you wanted. Because instead
Right.
of wasting the time,
Lord.
you know what I'm saying? Instead of wasting the time, hoping that
I love it.
somebody else would, because you're trying to convince them. Spend months
Right.
trying to convince them to buy into what you see is important. And it's like, no, let me just tell you up front. And
And just let me be me. Like, let me stop trying to water down or
Yep.
manicure me. Because let me
I
tell
like
y'all, like because that's what we do. And we're not talking about making yourself better. We're
Right.
talking about hiding areas of yourself so that the other person doesn't get offended or doesn't go away.
Yeah.
But understanding that if they go away, it's okay. Now, granted, we're not talking about if you got a bad attitude. We're not talking about we're not talking about that. What I'm saying is, like, I'm a Harry Potter fantasy nerd. Absolutely love it. I wanted to be with somebody that not only would we be able to interact in the same things, but he would also expose me to things. My husband loves wrestling. I've never had an interest in it. But when he talks about wrestling, when he talks about hockey, it makes me want to get into it. And just to add a little bit more to this story, my husband is originally from up north. He was supposed to go back before we met. Like, I'm talking about like 4 or 5 months, he was supposed to go ahead and head on back. So because of what God did, yeah, he was actually supposed to go back. Like, his plan was like, we just gonna be friends. I'm gonna head out, da 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 da. And it turned into 2.5 years of marriage.
You know, like that, you should have put a ring on it. Okay.
So it's like I said, the different parts of our story, which I actually love to share it because there's so many places in it, and the development within both of us that God has allowed, even in this short time. Because granted, we can't talk about having kids because we don't have none. We can't talk about different things that married couples go through because y'all who've been married 40, 50 years or whatever the case is, that's not our testimony as of yet. But
Yeah.
the things that we've encountered within these last 2 years, they matter. And I think sometimes we have to be careful in relationships that you can discount the small things. And you can be like, it's 2 years, but I'm trying to get to year 10. No, take your time through year 2.
Enjoy this
Take your
moment.
time through year 3. Absolutely, because it's been a transition. Whew, definitely.
So you was about to pivot to my next point. My sister now, you were in Georgia since 99.
Yes.
And you just made a faith move.
Yeah.
To Texas, where you've never, now you were living with mom and dad.
Yeah.
All the way up until you got married. You were lead minister there for multiple ministries. You worked the family business.
Right.
You were also, a teacher of music as well. Like, you taught multiple instruments. My sister is very talented. I'm a little bit of this is a brag, but she's very, very talented. And I want you to encourage somebody when, like, what made you come to this conclusion of taking this big leap of faith and with a brand new husband?
Ooh.
Yep.
Okay. I'm gonna tackle part 1 and part 2.
Handle it.
So taking this leap of faith, as you've already pointed out, majority of my life has been in the nest. Majority of it. There's always been a safety. But I got to a point where I was feeling so stagnated, and it lasted for years. And it was kind of like God was showing me, how uncomfortable do I have to make it for you to actually trust me?
Ooh, Jesus.
Like how upset, how frustrated do you have to be in order for you to actually trust me? And it took a long time, because could I have left sooner? Yeah, I could have. Right. But we say everything in God's timing, but sometimes God be like, I had this for you 3 years ago. It just took you 3 years of development to be ready for it.
Yeah.
And so, our time is different from his time. Y'all know the word, our thoughts are not his thoughts. His ways are as high as they are above heaven. And it's not the same, the way that we rationalize things. So I had gotten to a point where I was so frustrated with where I was. Not that I didn't enjoy leading worship, not that I didn't love the people that I worked with, not that I didn't love working the family business, but it's like something inside of me was like, I know there's more. And it's not to degrade where I was, but I knew there was more. And the more was tied to my trust in the one who provided the more. Not necessarily more money, not necessarily more resources, because that's all great. But the word says, seek ye first the kingdom of heaven, and all of these things will be added. But wanting more of the kingdom, wanting more of God's ways, wanting more of his understanding in his heart. So I was like, I know there has to be more. So, matter of fact, I came down to visit you. And it was rough, because at that time, me and my husband were going through some things relationally. He was having some issues with his job, and I was in my frustration as well. So we were kind of at odds, but still trying to stay together. You know what I'm saying? So we were going through all of those things, and literally, I came down to your house, and I was in the room, and the Lord said to trace these states. So I traced Florida, I traced Texas, I traced North Carolina, and I traced Georgia, because I had a little planner. Anyway, so I traced it, and I wrote down the cities in each one of those that we were considering to relocate to, because I was like, God, I know we're about to move. I just don't know where. And you hadn't said anything. And we had already made up our mind. And from that journey, that choosing, I was like, God, you're going to have to do it, because I don't know what's happening. But before then, I had to let go of a lot of things. I quit my job working for our family. I quit my job, my secure job, because I was working within the education system. I quit that job. And I also told my church, I was like, hey, in July, I'm stepping down. And so all of these things had to take place. And it was literally like God was just cutting away. And I felt like I was being ripped apart, legitimately, because all of these things literally made up very serious and a lot of parts of who I was. So it was like a ripping, but it was like, I'm ripping you from what you know so I can take you into the unknown. And we wish the unknown was secure, but it's not. It's just not. Ooh, forgive me, but it's not secure. And it's like, when y'all talk about trusting God, y'all talk about Peter walking on water. Water is not solid.
It's not water solid. Is not.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like, and we sometimes we trivialize that story, because it's like, oh, he walked on water. He started to, he started to doubt. Let me tell you something, honey. Us preparing to move to Dallas, we had no job.
Right.
We had nowhere to stay. We only had a word from God, and what God promised us was that he was going to provide the place, the provision, and the position. That's all he said. So we literally got rid of everything we had in our apartment, and we packed up Zena. Zena is our Kia Sportage. We packed up Zena with as much as she was, and we drove to Texas. And God literally provided every step of the way. And please understand, that provision, we didn't see it coming. There was nothing secure that it was like, first, this is gonna happen, and this is gonna happen, because we thought we were going to touch down, and we thought we was going to have our jobs in 2 weeks, because we didn't have jobs, but I had a job offer. I was like, okay, Lord, all right, you know what I'm saying? Hubby got to take some time off. I'm gonna go ahead and get in the work. We gonna get it. No, my job, literally they offered it to me. And then they called me 2 days later and said, hey, your job's on hold and we don't know when it's going to open back up.
Yep. What?
Wait a minute. Jesus, maybe you didn't see the state lines. We crossed the state lines. Maybe we drove the whole way. And what do you mean? What do you mean? You said you was gonna promise the position, the place, and the provision. Like, I'm spitting the peas to him, and he's like, yeah, I know. But you gotta stick this out. And I was like, Jesus, we ain't got no jobs, and these bills don't stop coming. Like, just because we moved, our car payment is not like, hey,
we'll wait on God.
Our car payment is not like, oh, hold on. Don't worry about it. You're good. Like, no. So it was on hold for like 6 months. 6 months. Right. And God has carried us. Like, y'all, I could get so deep into it. I could talk about this because I be in church, and when I'm in church, I'm hollering and I'm spinning around and I'm giving God an exuberant, boisterous praise. I was like, I do understand David, because when you do think about how good God is and how even within that 6 months, it was 6 months of waiting, but that's because there was lots of things in my heart that were broken. And if I would have gotten into this new position, if I would have gone and moved forward, I would have continued to use busyness as a drug to just not.
You can't be dropping fire like that.
I'm just saying, no, because we do. As a drug, we medicate ourselves because if I keep myself busy enough, I don't have to deal with whatever's going on. So even though I was hurting in Augusta, I was broken in Augusta. There was lots of things happening with me inwardly where I was in a state of depression. And it was so difficult because I sat for 6 months and I could literally feel like the Holy Spirit scooping stuff out of me. Like, that's how I felt. And it's like, I was so angsty. I was trying to find a job, couldn't find a job nowhere. And then eventually time went on, and I'm thankful that it was only 6 months, because if it had to be like a year or two, oh Lord.
I should be like, I don't know what to do. I got to go.
I don't know what to do. I'm going back home. To my mama and my daddy. But I'm just saying.
Hey. Well, like I had told you in that situation, I was like, Ashley, you know what? This is the first time in a long time you haven't had to do anything.
I know.
Where work, like, now if nothing, a James girl, that's our married name, y'all. Our maiden name. We were taught to work. Period.
Yes.
Work. Like, I've had a job since I was 12. She's had a job since she was 12. My older sister has had a job since she was 12. Like, we were just taught to work and being,
contributors. Like, don't just be coming expecting something. Put in the work.
And then if somebody tells you no, and that's what you want to do, go out and get it. Don't wait for nobody to hand you something just because you're like, well, they won't give me the candy bar. It's like, no, how can you get this candy bar? Like, we're all in our own right, some form of entrepreneur as well. That runs in our family. But for the first time, I said, Ashley, this is the first time that you can just sit and rest. Like, you have.
I like it.
I know, but that's why he had to sit you down so you can get motivated, so you can be poured into, like you said, just ripping and running constantly, going and going and going, but you're running on E. Running on E. So you can't even pour into a new job that may require more energy from you, more stability from you, more, like, just more. And you're like, I'm still tired from the last job. Like, I'm exhausted. Then new wife, just moved, all this. He's like, no, I've moved you out of that situation. And now you're in a position where, you were staying with family, and even though bills were coming, your needs were still being met. Yeah. And you're like, I'm just, what you say, antsy, just trying to do something.
I was just trying to do something. Oh my God. Like, let me tell y'all, so I got a job teaching music because I've taught music for years. Got a job teaching music, and I did it for like 1 week.
You did.
And Holy Spirit was like, why'd you do that? And I was like, I'm trying to help us with.
Jesus.
I didn't tell you to do that. And he was like, you gotta let this go. I literally had to call them people and be like, hey, I'm not gonna be able to stay, which I hate doing because I'm the person that's like, once I made a commitment, I feel indebted to it. And so that low key, that people pleasing thing, which is something that I struggle with sometimes, it was like, I told them I was gonna be there. And it's like, no, I need you to be in my will. You said that's what you wanted. So I need you to be in my will. So here we are, like you said, brand new, new husband, new wife. And we were praying together. I love my husband so much because we prayed and we fasted together. Even with everything that was going on with us, we prayed and we fasted together. And we were like, God, you gonna show us. And literally before we moved, we were in the car and we were praying. And I swear, y'all, like, you know the story about Paul and Silas when they were in jail?
Yeah.
And the earth started to shake and it was kind of like that feel. We were in the car just praying. We were praying hard. And the winds and the rain was outside and it was just going and going and going and going.
I'm gonna stir it up.
And literally when we stopped praying, it ceased. And I was like,
yep, he said, I heard you, girl.
I'm like, Lord, I appreciate you, but I'm just saying this journey has been phenomenal and wild. And like I said, just to kind of jump to the end of the story, I did get my job. I ended up getting offered 2 positions. Mm-hmm. My husband also ended up getting a position with the same organization. So it's crazy because sometimes you don't know if it's going to be a happy ending. Mm-hmm. We don't know if those jobs were going to come through. It literally could have been God brought us out here to rest because nobody wanted anything from us. Mm-hmm. But it could have allowed us to go right back home. And you would think that, God, we done packed up, we done did all this. But his timing is perfect. His intentions toward us are without mistake. And even though stuff does not make sense to us at times, because we trust the one who knows, who has the world in his hands, it's like learning to lean on him. And I know that this has been an opportunity for me to really cleave to my husband, for us to continue to become one, and for me to step up my faith in my Father, in Yahweh, because this has been not having a support system. It was me and him, and then it was me and him. Like, this is all we had. Right. And it's not that we didn't have family and friends to pray for us or to help with this when we needed help. We did, and I'm grateful because to have a support system is unlike anything else. And so I can only imagine having to do everything by yourself. But this was really a, are you gonna trust me? Type thing. And so, like I said, here we are now. We working. Your girl busy now.
You better be busy. You better be busy. And you know what? When you said, I always think about that Michael Todd, I won't say episode, service, where he was talking about being led by God, and it's completely dark.
Being anchored. Yes.
Anchored. Look, Michael Todd, Pastor Michael Todd, Transformation Nation. I know y'all might not ever see this. I want to say thank you because I will never forget when that light shined and he stepped into it. So you can't see around it.
Nope.
You can't see 10 feet in front of you. You're like, nope. I know that I'm supposed to be over there. That last spot. I know I'm supposed to get over there, but I don't see the way to get there. And then it's like, what you don't want to do is jump over into this lane. Right. Jump into this lane because the reality is this is the shorter lane. But if you do what you want, thinking that it's easier, you might end up over there and get 2 spaces forward. And you're like, yeah, I'm where I'm supposed to be at. But it can mess you up internally. It can mess you up. Mentally. It can mess you up spiritually and bring you right back to where you started because now you have to undo it all. Undo it all. Yes. Like, okay, now that you tried that, can you get on the right path with me and just keep walking it? Yes. I will never forget that. Or the one where he's like, well, God, I'm in this boat.
We out here. We out here. Anybody who you're believing God to fulfill his promise to you, when you get to that we out here moment, you're in the opportune place for God to bless. And please understand what God's been showing me is that this level of faith is not just so my husband and I can prosper and be a testament to God's goodness and his mercy. This is for our kids and our kids' kids.
Come on, legacy.
This is the legacy of showing them that God's grace is faithful from generation to generation to generation, and choosing to obey him sometimes, most times, can land you in some trouble. Right. Because it lands you in a place where you do have to trust him. And we can see it throughout the Bible. We can see it with Mary, we can see it with Paul, we can see it with the disciples, we can see it with anybody who actually said yes to Christ. So I just want to take the moment to encourage people to say, don't let go. If God told you something, do not let go. It is easy to let go. It takes no effort, because you're you're not giving up because you didn't believe. But it's the fact that it gets hard. It gets downright difficult to hold on. And I call it like keyhole faith. When you're in a dark room and there's a light outside, but it's only shining through the keyhole. But the darkness in the room is the only thing you can see, and it consumes the entire space. But you can see the light peering through the keyhole, and you're like, if I can just get to this door, if I can just get to this door. And I promise y'all, when we got to the point where I was like, God, if you don't move, it's not that I'm not trying to be disobedient. Father, I'm not trying to be disrespectful. I'm not trying to say that I don't believe, but I was like, I don't know. And if you brought us out here just to rest, then I thank you, because you're all knowing, you're sovereign. But God, if something does not move, we're going to have to go back home.
Right.
And I didn't feel shame in having to go back home, because I'm like, God, you got to deliver me from people, from thinking that I need to uphold their expectations of me. And even if people were like, oh, they came back, and I don't care. I don't care, because I did what I believe the Lord told me to do. Right. We decided as a family, this is what we're going to do. And God has to handle everything else, period. Yep. And so, like I said, I just wanted to encourage somebody and be like, yo, man, don't quit. Don't give up. I'm telling you, like, I know it's hard. Those moments throughout the days where you tell yourself you feel dumb, like you just out here looking stupid. Word. Like when those voices come, and it's like silencing those things. And I want to share this, because there's two things that I was like, Lord, I don't want to be like the Israelites. I don't want it to take 40 years for me to get somewhere that it should have only taken 2 weeks.
Come on now.
I don't, and yes, you're like, in those 40 years of wandering, they got the complainers, they got the foolishness. But granted, as you keep reading in the book, you see that they also had other issues that caused them to get put back in persecution and all these other things. But in terms of getting to your promised land, wherever that may be, not just money, because we always limit it to material things, but it's more peace, more security within God. Not, I have more things to stand on. No, it's being more in him. And so it's like, I was like, God, I don't want it to take me 40 years because I won't listen. Yeah. Because I won't yield. And I don't mean 40 years of time. I just mean whatever your 40 years is. Like whatever your 40 look like. Whatever it looks like. And I was like, God, I don't want that. So that was the first thing. And then the second thing was that, God, I chose to follow you. And sometimes that means you have to follow him blindly, or only when he illuminates the step. And it's like, so I'm ready to step, and sometimes you're anxious to step, but the light hasn't been illuminated yet. And it's like, okay, Lord, all right, well, I'm waiting on your timing. And it's like, now we wait. Y'all see the TikTok, now we wait. Keep holding my hand. That's exactly y'all find that TikTok, it's out there somewhere, but that's exactly how it feels, because us jumping into these positions when we did, it's been a takeoff even within this where me and my husband are. So I just want to love on whoever's watching this. I don't care if it's 1 people, 1,000 people, it don't matter. I just want to love on y'all and just be like, yo, man, don't quit. And it is going to get hard. It is going to be questionable. You're going to question yourself. For those that are like, no, I know God told me and I'm going to do it. I love you. I love y'all because you inspire me to be great. You do, please. And I don't mean that any type of way. But for the rest of us who were like, I heard it, but what's happening? Yeah. For us in that percentage, yo, keep going. Keep going. Keep trusting. Keep believing. And don't give up, my Lord.
Man, you guys, I'm not gonna I really don't want to wrap up because I love my sister so much. I love talking to her. We talk for hours. Oh my goodness. If I could wrap her up and keep her in my pocket, I would. But you guys, I just wanted you to get some encouragement this time. See, this is what Pillow Talk is about. Like, she's talking about the prayers that her and her husband had together, like that, those intimate moments. Like, Pillow Talk is not always just sensual or sexual. Sometimes it's just being intimate. It's really being intimate and intentional as well. Yes. Like, having Pillow Talk and the goal and not have a goal is pointless. But you're talking about, hey, we're touching and agreeing on these things. We're coming together to pray about these things so that we can be on one accord. And God, whatever it is that you would have us to do, just be in his will. You, Ashley, I appreciate you for coming and doing this with me. I think you're one of my number one supporters in all the things that I do. And you guys, I don't care what's going on. I'm going to tag her YouTube page on here as well. Go look at her videos. If you have not had the privilege, go ahead and look at them. They are fantastic. We believe, absolute love. The Painter is probably one of her first actual songs that we just love as a family. And what's the other one? Oh, Higher.
Yeah.
Listen to Higher is a banger. Okay, it is a banger. Okay, don't play with it. Do not play with the Higher. Okay.
Yes.
Let them know where they can find you. Go ahead, drop your hashtags and all your at signs. Go ahead.
Okay, so you can find me on Instagram at Ashley Greatness Avila, of course, all one word. I am also on TikTok. TikTok is a little bit of a different field because I'm a millennial kid, so I grew up in the era of Panic at the Disco, Fall Out Boy, and all those wonderful things. So you see a little bit more of the angsty side of me.
Yes, I love it.
And it's Ashley_Avila. And then, of course, if you're looking for me on YouTube, you can type in Ashley Greatness Avila, and you'll see a picture of me in white. And it's my single from The Painter, which is available on iTunes, Spotify, Amazon Music, and all other streaming platforms. So any of those, YouTube, Ashley Greatness Avila, IG is also Ashley Greatness Avila, and TikTok is Ashley_Avila, like the little dash.
What she said was watch it, share it, buy it, do all of the things that you need to do, follow, share it again, tag 10 people,
all of that.
Don't play with it.
Don't play with it.
Guys, of course, it has been great. I'm your favorite Wild PK, Lady Abdullah. One of my favorite guests right now is Minister Ashley Avila.
Girl.
I know you're not bougie like that, but Minister Ashley Avila, thank you so much. And guys, hey, remember, April is the month where you use the Power Couple promo code to get 20% off on your Pillow Talk conference tickets. And don't leave a sister or a friend hanging. Make sure you pick up one for you and one for them, okay? Because this is all about partnership and teamwork, okay? So don't forget that. This month only, for the month of April, Power Couple. I think we got 2 more weeks left, so don't play with it, you guys. All right. Love you guys. Thank you. Hey everybody, go ahead and pick up your tickets on Eventbrite. Right now we have a special promo code for 20% off with Power Couple. Get your tickets now.